Welcome to Shorty's SuperCoach. How's it going, guys? Taking a look at the weekend ahead here. We're going to have a look at the teams live. Shorty's just been in the gym and just shut myself off from the old mobile phone and have dodged all messages just for a little live reveal of the teams. I'm a bit nervous, to be honest. I feel like it's been a number of weeks where we haven't had that surprise, like a rookie that's dropped unexpectedly or just a bloke that we didn't think had a niggle and, oh my God, he's rested or he's got general soreness. So I'm a bit worried. But first things first, on the live session, thanks for everyone who tuned in. It was one of the best ones of the year, 7:30 each Wednesday, if you're interested. But we had Tony who came on late in the piece and said, Shorty, tell us a funny story. And I was about a couple of hours in, hour and a half into the live session. It was just too late for a story. But Tony, I never miss an opportunity to tell a good story, my friends. So you can be the judge if it's a good story or not. But I just want to take you back down memory lane. I don't think I've told this one back in the day when I lived in Ballarat. And I just want to preference it with shittest house you've lived in. Have you lived in an absolute pile of shit? Because this place, and it seems like a lifetime ago, like once upon a time, Shorty was a sports journalist, used to think he could be the next Mike Sheehan, Jared Waitley, and I left Geelong and moved to Ballarat just to work full time at the paper there, and here I was, just a young lad renting in cold old Ballarat. And that brings me to the shittest house I've ever lived in. Now, I was living with a fella that I met through a mutual friend, and our lease came to an end, and there was a certain change, and I think it might have been going off the market or whatever. We had to find a new place, and we weren't the most organised young blokes in the world. Left it a little bit too late. It's always difficult when you got to perfectly align when you move out to have a place to go straight into. You don't want to double up on too many weeks of rent. Anyway, I remember we missed on a couple inspections, this and that, and there was this absolute dud place, and I thought, gee, we need to move out in 2.5 weeks. I better go have a look at it. I said to Ned, what do you reckon? He's like, yeah, all right, let me know what you think. I walked in. There was about 8 of us going for the inspection. I walked in. It was an old-looking place, but look, cozy. I walked in, and it was pretty barren. I specifically remember 6 or 7 of us walked in. Within 30 seconds, you know what an inspection is like. They dart into the rooms, they dart to the kitchen, bathroom. They're all walking out within 30 seconds. And I thought, fuck, this could be good or it could be bad. Shorty could have found himself a rental, but I don't know about the reference check on this one. It was a howler. We ended up getting it because we didn't have too many options. I remember messaging Ned, look, mate, it's not the greatest, but I think we'll get it. He was just like, mate, we'll put a couple of pictures up and make the place nice and homely. I thought, holy shit, it'll need a few pictures. Anyway, we moved in, and oh my gosh, it was a shocker. So, like, just a list of areas that was disastrous. I remember first week putting my bins out and talking to the next door neighbour, hey, mate, how you going? What's going on? We just moved in. Oh, do you guys know what happened to that place prior to this one? I'm like, oh, no, mate, what happened? He goes, oh, yeah, bloody drug dealers used to live there. We're moving actually because we wanted to get out of there before they did. And used to have occasional times brick thrown through the window and all sorts of cops. And I'm thinking, fantastic, this should be great. Hopefully old druggies don't. I hope they all know the drug dealer moved. I don't want to get too many bricks through the old window. And there was no doors, or that's not true. The doors didn't open. It was even bedroom doors were like roller doors, like sliding doors, I should say. Real weird ass setup. And mine ended up just falling off the rails. And I remember for the back end of the lease, because we only took a 6-month lease, I remember just having this angled door because it came off the rails and I couldn't get it back on. Just the door should have gone like this. And I remember it just being on a tilted angle, like just leaning the door up against the wall just for some sort of privacy. It was ridiculous. And there was this feral cat that lived like under the house, I think. It got into the house at one stage. It had this weird attic up the top. And I don't know what lived in there or what died in there, but there was like possums or rats or something. We'd wake up to like, I don't know if you can hear that, but like little scratching and stuff. And then I remember one day I'm just sitting there watching TV. I swear to God, a small horse ran through that attic. Something ran through, hit something, and fell down the side of the wall. I remember legit, me and my mate watching TV, hearing this thing bounding. Could have been one of the old druggos, who knows? And it just like clearly hit something in the wall, fell down like a hole in the wall, and I was like, awesome. Guess that's just going to die there. Fantastic. And just bizarre stuff like you walked uphill from the front of the house to the kitchen at the end, and right at the very back. Never ever used this, but was one of those dingy ass toilets. Like we had a main toilet in the shower, but there was this, I reckon, 1 by 1 small room with just a toilet that I swear to God, something haunted that place. I looked in it once and I went, nah, never going to sit my ass down on that thing. Never going to walk into that, take a piss. I'm going to close this door and never look at it again. But yeah, it was something else. I remember one day my mate, he was sitting on the couch in between uni lectures, and the cops came to the door looking for the previous owner, and oh man, it was just a debacle. And the worst part probably was because of whatever died or something, we ended up getting this fly infestation in like the wall. And this is pretty disgusting, but like I look back, I'm like, holy shit. Like in the bathroom, flies, we'd wake up each day and flies would just be like dead in the shower. It was disgusting. I mean, I look back and I'm like, that's fucked. Like every morning for a month before we got on top of this issue, my first couple of minutes getting the shower ready was waiting for these flies to go down the drain. Just disgusting stuff. Anyway, it was a 6-month lease, and I remember talking to the lady, and she was like, oh, obviously your lease is ending in about a few weeks. Would you like to renew it? Nah, no thanks. I'm going to pitch a tent somewhere, actually. Oh, yeah. I obviously left that job, came back to Geelong, and ventured back to see a couple of mates in Ballarat, and I remember I'm going to drive past this place. It had only been maybe a year on, knocked down. Absolutely hit the deck. Someone had demolished it, bought the land and demolished it. Absolute disaster of a place. So that's a pretty long story. Shorty really waffled on a bit there, but that took me down memory lane, and I'd love to hear shittest house you've ever lived in. So let's take a look at these teams, shall we? And cross the fingers it's good to us. Because I've got my trades in mind. I just don't want anything to mess us about. Nothing too chaotic there. Fuck. See, Wagner dropped. Jesus, man. How does that happen? Jesus, that pisses me off. These rookies are just going to shreds, mate. Gould, obviously. Roberts, we knew that was coming. Tom Green back, of course. Rouston omitted. That'll hurt a couple. Few changes for the Hawks. Long, Cam McKenzie dropped. Of course, Will Day is back. Bailey Smith is back, and we'll talk about him later. Will Phillips dropped. Far out, bro. Oh my God. Didn't think he did that much wrong. Like I thought he played pretty good the week before. All of a sudden, he's subbed and then he's out. Anyway, Cowan managed. Times are getting tough. Old mate Doherty's back. Sard also back. That'll help a few. Yeah, I'm a bit rattled actually. See, couldn't even get Constable back in with a few inclusions there. Now, Langers was telling me that Rory Laird could possibly be out, so I don't know what sort of source old mate Langers found that from, but I'm going to dive into the side now and just see if I can avoid a zero, because those couple of omissions in the midfield, not ideal. It definitely makes the decisions pretty easy on terms of what rookies you may or may not trade, but now, honestly, the lack of cash generation is the biggest issue in my side, and that is the risk of going early on a bloke like Wagner. But man, I was super confident, but Anyway, I don't know what I was watching last week. I remember watching the replay, thought he looked good. So, no idea. Anyway, let's have a look. So, first things first, what sort of coverage do I actually have? I've got fucking none, mate. I mean, I'm going to have to probably field Wilmot, which is just shit. Yeah, what a disaster. Because originally I was thinking I would trade, excuse me, McKenna and Michael Laney, one down for Mitchell, one up for Sicily, and then I was thinking of going Goulden to Cornelio. And look, honestly, I think I still will. Um, I might be able to have two bites at the cherry. Not that Davey or Wilmot are good scorers on any sort of measure, but you can always help. You can always hope. Um, Man, times are tough. That's rattled me a bit. But let's talk about a few of the people you brought up in the live session. Um, Now, Grundy to English, very popular. I think you guys were spot on with all your selections. I mean, bringing Cornelio, I think, is a must. We won't get him any cheaper than 500. Sicily, I think, is a great option to bring into your side. Mitchell has to be a lock. We've got minimal blokes to actually bring into our team in terms of rookies. So when they appear, we've got to take them. And a few people talking about Grundy. What do I do? Do I go up to English? Do I go to Darcy? It's all relevant on what your team looks like. How much cash do you need to do another upgrade? If you can get English and it doesn't affect too much else, then boom, go for it. If you're a bit tight for cash, then maybe you hold Grundy. Just hope for a 90, maybe 100. He'll drop in a little bit of price, but then Gawn will drop a hell of a lot more. So you'll be able to make a transaction on Grundy to Gawn in a week, which is something I'm losing a bit of faith in Royal Marshall. Hand up, I was thinking, yep, he's going to go bang soon, but Owens is taking a lot more of the ruck than I anticipated, and I do not like it, and it's concerning. So if Grundy or if Royal Marshall doesn't get more than 110 this week, he's definitely gone for Gawn. Setterfield, done his job. Thank you, Will. I mean, I've said this for a couple of weeks. If you want to keep him, if you've got other issues you got to do, he's every chance to score you a solid 80 or 90. But if you can get rid of him, then, he's done his job. He's come in, he's been solid, he's made us money. Thanks very much. Will Day versus Sinclair versus Sicily versus Zeeble, like they were all sort of questions. I clearly have Sicily and Sinclair on top. The only reason I say preference those more experienced guys, that extra cash of Day may help you a fair bit because he is still pretty cheap. So I get that. And if that's fitting into your structure and your trade plan and that 100K makes a massive difference, allows you to get Cornelio or something like that, then absolutely go for it. All I'd say is that historically, we've seen Sinclair and Sicily and Cornelio and that average big numbers for many years. Day, this might be his year. He might break out for the whole entire year, average 99 for the whole season. But history does suggest that young players will have ebbs and flows throughout a season. They're a young team. They're an inexperienced team. Does he keep this level? Can he be a top premium? That's my only query. It's probably worth the risk for that extra bit of cash. But I'm going Sicily. I just feel more confident in him. Zeeble versus Cornelio, I had a few questions. Clearly cogs for mine. Ideally, you get them both. That's the way I'm going about it. But I think, that midfield position just lends itself to higher scoring, and I think I'd have a little bit more faith in Cornelio. Seems to have definitely found his groove. Hopefully the return of Tom Green doesn't impact things too much. And look, my thoughts on Goulden. Corey raised a really good point in the live session. Matty Roberts going out early meant they probably had to put Goulden to the wing. But, does that mean Goulden goes back to the centre bounce this week? Does it mean he needs to be a wingman again? I don't know. I feel like just looking at my next few trades, I'm thinking I'm going to drop him. I'm sort of going to play in the now. It wouldn't shock me if Goulden comes back and averages like really nice numbers. It wouldn't shock me. But with last week's performance, a break even of 135, which he won't hit, and it could potentially get worse if he does have like another 70 or 75. And honestly, since the first couple of weeks, he hasn't been fantastic. Good without being great. And the position, what I saw on the weekend, just worried me. So that's the way I'm going about it. In terms of VC and C, I'm going English into Oliver. You'll have to keep a pretty close watch on that because they do play one game after the other. So you'll have to keep an eye on it. But I think English could really do some serious damage against that Hawks lineup. And I just wanted to put a few things on the mark here for the future. We always play in the now and are very reactive sometimes. But Callum Mills, I reckon he's going to be at a really nice price. And Tom McCartan's back this week. Can't remember if Rampy's back, but when Rampy gets back as well, Mills surely gets some midfield time. And look, he could be about 520, 530. Definitely food for thought. And hey, if he doesn't quite get back there, maybe he gets defensive status. And averaging 95 is going to be bloody fine, which he can do as a defender. Bailey Smith, just keep him in mind. Hasn't started the year well, but he's forward now. So again, averaging in the 90s, very possible for Bailey. And Jack Steele, gee, he looked out of sorts, didn't he, the other week? But he'll get rolling. He'll get back in the swing of things, and he'll be less than 500k, all things being equal. Bargain. So a few players to just keep on that radar. In terms of this week, you've got to get Mitchell in. And I think you've got to get Sicily or Cornelio, ideally both. Will Day in that discussion as well. So that's the way I'm shaping up. That wasn't exactly the teams I wanted to see. I've really got next to nothing on that bench. You know, Davies obviously on an extended bench. So we got some issues. We do have some issues. So we'll have to wait and see how we go. But have a good week. I hope it treats you nicely. I'll talk to you soon. Cheers, guys.